Hey folks, FJB3 here with another wrestling video because, of course, I am a wrestling nut. The topic of today's video is the resurgence of the NXT brand. Now, back in the day, NXT, under the leadership of Triple H, creatively transformed the WWE's developmental brand into what is now called NXT and has actually made it a brand unto itself, so much that their developmental brand, which is not a developmental brand anymore, has its own TV contract with the CW. Now, back in the day, it was known as Black and Gold, and it had all the big superstars that we know and watch today. Some of them are in AEW. But let's revisit NXT and look at it. They had a program last night called Roadblock, and I think they performed or they delivered a pretty excellent show. And what I love about NXT right now is that Triple H now has moved on. We all know he's the head of creative on the main roster, but his best friend buddy Shawn Michaels, the legend, Mr. WrestleMania, he heads the creative NXT and has done some great things along the way. Now, the thing I love the most is the partnership they have with TNA, which is really cool because AEW does the same thing as far as partnering with New Japan and other indie promotions just to, broaden everything, broaden the matches, broaden the perspective, give purist wrestling insiders something to really look forward to. So the Vengeance pay-per-view last night was pretty damn good. I mean, we had Fraxium versus the Hardys for the TNA tag titles. The Hardys actually look pretty good. With a much younger team that carried them through the match, but obviously they can still do the things that needed to deliver a match that the crowd was into. And I love the setting at the auxiliary at Madison Square Garden. It looked great. But the TNA partnership is wonderful. They signed Jordan Grace from TNA, their former Knockouts champion. She had a match last night with the Prodigy, Roxanne Perez. Another great match, another clean finish. What more can you ask for? Two different people from two different companies that wrestle each other, and you get a decisive victor. They did Obafemi versus Moose, which was really cool. The crowd was really into it. Two similar styles. Again, a TNA guy who was their top champion, now their X Division champion, facing the actual NXT champion. And they delivered. It was what you thought, and it was actually better than what I thought. And again, the partnership just gives a little cachet to the NXT brand and makes it a little bit more appealing to watch. So they're doing great things. Ethan Page, former AEW guy, former WWE guy initially, is doing good work in NXT. And, he had another great match last night. And there's nothing you can say that's really negative. I mean, they ended the show with they just got Julia, from New Japan, and she's the NXT champion, and they had a champion versus championship match with Stephanie Vacour, the North American champion, and it was, 10, 12-minute banger. And again, another decisive, clean victory. All these stars on this card project to any main roster. And it's hard to even call the NXT a developmental roster at this point. They're doing a good job branding alone. So there's a lot of good things with NXT, and the future looks very bright. Give me your thoughts on where NXT is heading. If you think it's something, as I see, as not necessarily a developmental brand, but a brand unto itself like it was back under Black and Gold with Triple H. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.